The endgame is already written. Ilia Topuria walks toward boxing and the UFC lightweight picture fractures overnight. Now snap back with me because this can't be real. Unless you see how one calm sentence detonated a division, how a man saying he's at peace actually means he's preparing to pull the pin, and how every contender smiling today might be obsolete tomorrow, because this isn't a career pivot. It's a power shift that makes belts feel temporary and legacies feel fragile.
Yeah, you know how they do it? They try to steal your soul.
Jesus.
Put a knife right in your spirit.
Dude, that's crazy.
Muy bien, muy contento. La verdad que yo tuve la conversación previamente antes con la UFC, sabía lo que estaba sucediendo, mantuvimos algunas conversaciones. Por mi situación personal sabían que yo no pudiera competir en enero. De lo que yo he vivido y de la forma que yo vivo es cuando tengo mi espíritu en paz, es cuando me puedo mantenerme mentalmente enfocado, físicamente, espiritualmente, porque sí, hay muchas tentaciones que se presentan en el camino, hay muchas voces alrededor, la gente puede llegar a criticar o a juzgarte sin realmente...
Here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Topuria isn't chasing rankings anymore. He's outgrowing them. And when a champion starts talking about what comes after, that's not reflection. That's warning sirens. Because the moment he admits MMA isn't forever, the UFC loses leverage, the matchmaking loses certainty, and the contenders lose their North Star. And if you think this won't change who gets paid next, you're lying to yourself.
I still don't think the UFC will do it because I just don't know how you do that when there's so much other to be done before that happens. He wants to. If he had his choice, he would fight Islam Makhachev, and that would be the final fight, which is awful in like a number of things. The rest of that interview is he talks about like he is a little more open to the idea of sticking around in the full interview, where he's like, it'll kind of depend on things. And the true answer is that, yeah, he wants to go to boxing because he wants to get paid, because this sport sucks and the best athletes in this sport want to leave it because that's where money is.
Listen to the wording, really listen, because when he says he'll finish his story in MMA first, that first is doing all the damage, because it implies a sequel elsewhere. And boxing isn't just a sport here, it's an escape hatch, a negotiation weapon, and a mirror held up to MMA pay structures. And yeah, someone inside the UFC heard that and went quiet, real quiet, because this exposes something they don't want debated.
These are not guaranteed for everyone.
I would be disappointed if that was what happens. I don't think that's what happens. He might lose in MMA. The boxing opportunities might not be there. We've seen this from other people other than Conor McGregor before, and only Conor McGregor has successfully navigated these waters. I don't think we're seeing that. I don't think we're dealing with that. I think it's much more likely that he
Francis did also successfully navigate those waters.
To an extent, yes, but
he's fought as much as Conor's fought, basically.
What he did though was find a promotion that was going to give him guaranteed money in MMA that allowed him to also do this boxing thing. It was a bit of a different kind of thing.
The same thing.
Jed Miju tries to ground it, tries to sound reasonable, but practicality doesn't calm a fire like this. It feeds it, because the more we talk about feasibility and contracts, the clearer it gets that boxing keeps pulling elite fighters like gravity, and you have to ask yourself who benefits when champions publicly weigh exits, because it sure as hell isn't the division trying to stay stable.
And how he views that matchup.
Muy bien, muy contento. La verdad que yo tuve la conversación previamente antes con la UFC, sabía lo que estaba sucediendo, mantuvimos algunas conversaciones. Por mi situación personal sabían que yo no pudiera competir en enero, por pues, todas las cosas que engloba una situación personal por la que estoy pasando, y al final decidieron hacer el combate por el título interino entre Paddy Pimblett y Justin Gaethje. A mí me parece muy merecido para ambos, es un título bastante válido, bastante merecido, es lo más cerca que van a estar los dos de tener un campeonato del mundo. Les felicito a los dos, pero al final del día se van a tener que enfrentar con el real deal.
Ilia shifted the conversation.
Then comes the blunt truth. Nobody likes the money talk, the part where people whisper that the best athletes won out, and suddenly the conversation stops being about Topuria and starts being about the sport itself. And that's dangerous territory, because once fighters realize leverage exists elsewhere, loyalty evaporates. And nah, don't tell me this doesn't scare the UFC, it absolutely does.
Inside the octagon.
Bueno, pues como he comunicado, estoy atravesando problemas personales. No tengo una fecha exacta de cuándo se va a solucionar todo. Espero que cuanto antes, en cuanto se solucione, yo estaré listo para volver en el octógono. Priorizo en este momento el bienestar de mi familia, de mis hijos, el mío propio. Así que en cuanto solucione todo, ya volveré al octógono y a darle todo el espectáculo que todo el mundo se merece.
Meanwhile, Ilia
Eric Jackman throws cold water on the fantasy, reminds us most crossover dreams die fast, except Conor, always Conor, and that comparison is a double-edged blade because invoking McGregor raises expectations and resentment at the same time, and here's the paranoia creeping in. What if Topuria believes he's the exception too? What if he's already being sold something behind the scenes, something nobody's admitting yet?
De lo que estoy más orgulloso, de lo que estoy más orgulloso es cuando me vienen los niños y me miran con esa cara de admiración y me miran a la cara y me dicen que quieren ser como yo. Ahí es cuando realmente siento ese orgullo y ese agradecimiento, porque en parte también siempre fue mi objetivo, ¿no? Y mi padre siempre decía que la única forma de inspirar a los demás era siendo el ejemplo, y me alegro de que pueda llegar a ser el ejemplo para las nuevas generaciones y para las generaciones existentes también.
after sharing his values and sense of responsibility.
Okay, people bring up Francis, but it's not the same. And that distinction matters because Francis carved a hybrid path with guarantees, while Topuria is staring at uncertainty. And uncertainty is where chaos breeds, because when a champion balances risk against peace of mind, the sport can't control the outcome, and I swear there's a detail missing here. Something held back, something not said yet.
El secreto, no sé, para mí el secreto, yo siempre puedo hablarte de mis experiencias y de mis vivencias, de lo que yo he vivido, y de la forma que yo vivo es cuando tengo mi espíritu en paz, es cuando me puedo mantenerme mentalmente enfocado, físicamente, espiritualmente, porque sí, hay muchas tentaciones que se presentan en el camino, hay muchas voces alrededor, la gente puede llegar a criticar o a juzgarte sin realmente saber nada de ti, y alguno puede hacer un artículo, a veces yo me encuentro con un artículo que no tiene ni una pizca de realidad y la gente comentando, y yo digo, pero si esto no tiene nada que ver conmigo, yo esto jamás lo he dicho en mi vida o nunca me he portado de esta manera.
Now rewind to January, the missed date, the calm explanation, the interim title fight, and tell me this doesn't feel like a slow-motion takeover. Because while Topuria handles personal matters, Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje get inches from gold, and inches matter because proximity to a belt changes behavior. Negotiations, ego, everything. And someone's going to overplay their hand soon.
Yeah, you know how they do it. They try to steal your soul.
Jeez.
Put a knife right in your spirit.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, man, there's hell has no fury like a woman scorned. It's a
Well, hopefully that helps him think he made the right call then, I guess. You know?
Yes, but does that help? This is the mother of your children, and this lady is a monster. And
There's
I think
nothing
he's trying
worse
to
than
get custody.
feeling like psychologically duped by somebody too.
Well, I don't know if it is psychologically duped or if it's like once she's not on your side, you know,
then it's just
then it's
like-
just burn the house down.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe
and there's a
that's
lot
what
of
it's
ladies like that because they feel like you hooked up with a guy who's an incredibly special human being, the rarest of rare. You not just UFC world champion, but a 2-division world champion, superstar who the whole world wants to see.
Topuria congratulates them, calls it deserved, but then drops the line that cuts deepest. The real deal still stands. And that's not humility, that's dominance spoken softly. Because he's telling the room the throne is borrowed. And borrowed thrones make people reckless. And yeah, I'm saying it, this interim situation could blow up spectacularly.
Like, oh, really? Well, I'm gonna take you down. And women, that's what they love, is reputation destruction. That's what they really are experts in. When go sideways.
What's the typical outcome of these cases where it's like super famous person, wife claims that she is 50% responsible for their success, tries to take half? Is that like, if there's no prenup, that's kind of just what happens?
It depends on where they are, right? So I don't know where they got married, where they're getting divorced. It's like, is it in Spain? What kind of laws does
He
Spain
seems like
have?
a super traditional guy who like probably didn't even get the right shit set up.
God, I hope not.
He seems really like innocent,
It looked like a perfect marriage.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy. But this is the ugliness of social media, right?
Family comes first, he says. No return date, peace before violence. And that sounds noble. Until you realize timelines decide champions. Because if summer comes and goes, belts vacate, narratives flip. And suddenly, Topuria isn't defending, he's defending relevance. And that's when mistakes happen, rush decisions, bad matchups, legal messes, and don't pretend those aren't lurking here.
Going through that, no one even knew I was going through it. They saw the aftermath of, years of just court dates and lawyers and talking, and the only person who loses on that is the kids, So at the end of the day, I know how hard it is for a father. Shout out to Topuria trying to figure that out, and I hope he does. I hope he can come back. If it's him coming back at 170, it's him coming back at 170. But I got unfinished business, so maybe we go up to 172 when he gets that done.
He talks about inspiring his kids, about values his father taught him, and that's beautiful, but it's also a shield, because when a fighter reframes success beyond titles, he becomes immune to pressure, and an immune champion is terrifying for promoters, because you can't threaten someone who's already made peace with walking away, and I keep thinking someone underestimated that.
No idea. He's got a lot going on in his personal life, lad, and all I care about is getting him in that octagon and fighting him. Anything in his personal life, I hope it goes well. But you never know, if he doesn't come back by June, July, then he might have to vacate his belt and I'll become undisputed champ without even fighting.
The criticism part hits harder than people admit. Fake articles, judgment, voices everywhere, because public perception can corner fighters into silence or explosion. And silence breeds suspicion, because if the stories aren't true, why do they keep appearing, and who benefits from that fog? Because, something here feels manufactured.
UFC offices, which you guys know is the PI, and everybody has an opinion on Ilia Topuria. It's one of the hottest conversations going around. Good opinions. Ilia Topuria is the best. Ilia Topuria is the best boxer. Ilia Topuria is going to headline the White House card. But they weren't all. Here's an argument that I heard, and I'm trying to think on it. And it's normally the thing with off, but it's the person that made the argument. Someone somebody very reasonable and respected, and they just said, look, Ilia should have been stripped. Say Gaethje and Patty shouldn't be fighting for the vacated title. They should be fighting for the interim title. They should be fighting for the undisputed title. So how do you get to that conclusion? They said, why do we have an interim championship for? They were trying to walk me down like a history lesson. Like, what is the history of the interim championship and how we came up with it in the first place?
Joe Rogan and Derek drag relationships into the light, psychological strain, betrayal, legal fallout, and once that door opens, you can't close it, because now personal life becomes content, leverage, distraction, and divisions crumble when champions fight battles off camera. And this is where I start wondering who's pushing which narrative and why.
There's a history behind that. Dominic Cruz would be the first example. 3.5 years without a title defense, but every bad thing that could happen that was outside of his control did happen, and they had grace. Dana met with him face to face and was supposed to take the belt off him. Called him in to have a face to face to take the belt off him. He said, I'm not going to do it. Not only did he not take the belt off him, right? Dominic had 3 ACL surgeries in 3.5 years. Not only did they not take the belt off him, they ended up putting him on a stipend.
Max Holloway brings empathy, father to father, unfinished business hinted, weight classes blurred, and suddenly future matchups hover like ghosts. Because unresolved paths create speculative chaos and the fans start choosing sides before facts arrive. And that's how pressure mounts until someone snaps, someone misspeaks, someone exposes too much. Paddy Pimblett says the quiet part loud, vacating belts, undisputed by default, and if that happens, the legitimacy debate will rip the division in half. Because champions crowned by absence don't wear crowns comfortably, and as all of this swirls boxing dreams, family priorities, interim gold, historical precedents. Nothing is settled, everything feels temporary, and I don't trust the calm because the next update could flip everything upside down.